no circuitry, no inner workings. Wood. So, everybody, we've arrived at like one of the proper oddities of Series 8, and possibly of the Capaldi era overall. In the Forest of the Night. Yeah, I have not rewatched this one since it aired. And I know lots of other people like hate this. This was another one that, along with Kill the Moon, a lot of people were like, why wasn't this on your list of 10 worst episodes of Doctor Who? Which, again, I don't really stand by that video anymore. But at the time, basically it was that this thing was too weird to annoy me. It's hard for me to get mad at something if I can't at least figure out what it's trying to do. Sometimes I can. Sometimes I can't figure out what they're trying to do, and that in and of itself will tick me off. But that doesn't always happen. Sometimes I can't figure out what the thing's trying to do, and I'm just like, maybe it's just over my head? I don't know. And I can't tell you where the line is between when me not understanding what something's trying to accomplish, ticking me off, and just making me perplexed. But for whatever reason, when I watched it the first time, In the Forest of the Night landed on the perplexed side of things. Rewatching it, that's still mostly where it lands. I'm more perplexed and confused by this thing than I am irritated or annoyed or even really all that frustrated by it. It's just so weird. First of all, the concept, the very starting premise, forest, springs up out of nowhere. Not only in London, across the globe. Okay. You have my curiosity. Well, now let's evoke a whole crap ton of fairy tales. Okay, like what? Well, Little Red Riding Hood will be a big one, and we'll name check Hansel and Gretel, and we'll have big bad wolves. Okay. Except we're also going to invoke poetry by invoking the poem Tiger. That's actually where we're going to pull the title from, and we're going to have a tiger. Isn't that neat? What does that have to do with anything else? And so do these fairy tale illusions have anything to do with why the forest is... No, because the forest just grew so that the trees consciously will save the earth from a solar flare that for some reason the trees know about. Okay? And that's just kind of where it leaves me going, all right. It's just bizarre, this thing. There are some flat out problems with it. But like I said, for the most part, I'm just befuddled. As far as actual problems, there's a lot of emphasis on the kids that Danny and Clara are teaching. In this case, they've taken out to an outing that was supposed to just be at the museum, but they end up obviously now in this forest and trying to, with the doctor trying to figure out what's going on. And this may sound weird because I've praised this series for giving Clara a clear job and putting her in command of kids and how that impacted her character. You might think I'd want to see more of the kids, except I don't. I don't care about the kids. I liked what her being around the kids and being a teacher to these kids did to Clara as a character. I don't care about them as individuals. I just don't. And none of them are interesting. There's only one that we've seen before, and guess what? She's not here. That's Courtney. I don't know why she's not here. She was cited as like being a bad influence or whatever. This seems to be the group of troublemakers. Why isn't she there? I don't know. Makes it just all the weirder right there. But none of the rest of them are compelling. They're fairly generic. There's the kid who's a bit of a bully. There's one who I'm pretty sure is somewhere on the autism spectrum, but it's largely played for laughs. So I'm not sure how comfortable I am with that. And then there's Maeve, who's... okay. So she hears voices. All right, low-level psychic, bleh. You know, the show's done that before, you know, as an inherent trait. Okay, all right. Except the voices she hears are the trees. All right. And she can hear them because her older sister's missing. Wait, what? And it's just, oh boy. And it doesn't help that that actress is so far out of her depth. I don't want to go too hard. I don't want to be like she's terrible. I feel bad for her the same reason I felt bad for the actress who played Chloe Weber in Fear Her, because here as there, I feel like she just didn't know what to do with this direction. And as a result, it comes off as really stiff and awkward. Here's the thing with young actors, really anyone under the age of, say, 12 or 13, is that you are going to have a very hard time getting a performance out of them that cannot be rooted in something that they have personally experienced and that is somewhere rooted in their reality. The best child actors are kids who usually have a pretty strong resemblance to the characters that they are portraying. The problem with shows like Doctor Who is you need actors who can respond to very outlandish things that they don't have any real basis in reality for. And while kids may have great imaginations, it doesn't mean they know how to act as if those things are real in the way that an actor needs to do. So in the case of this poor girl, in the case of Maeve, you know, she's just standing there going, and, like, I get it. I get the motion is, like, she's seeing something that she's trying to fend away. But, like, you can tell this young actress is struggling so hard just... Like, she doesn't know how to act this. And it's so clear. And, again, I'm not sure I would have expected a kid that age to know how to realistically act what was being asked of her. But that is a problem with the show. So, here's another thing. And again, this is kind of weird for me, because I had a similar issue with Time of the Doctor. Normally, broadly speaking, I like a fairy tale vibe to stories, but I didn't like the fairy tale vibe to Time of the Doctor. Now, for that one, I cited as being an ill fit for a regeneration story. And that may still have been it, but here again, we have a Doctor Who story that has a fairy tale kind of vibe to it, but really doesn't work. And I'm just starting to wonder if this is just a bad fit for that kind of vibe. I don't know. I think, well, if you don't roll with the fairy tale style vibe of this thing, the logistics make no sense whatsoever. Okay, so the trees all grow immediately to protect the planet because trees can just do that on a whim. Collectively, okay. I don't know if they were trying to bank off of some of the concepts dropped in The Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe, but you know that was a while back at this point, and they know that the response to The Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe wasn't great. So that's like the only precedent that exists for what they're doing, and it wasn't particularly well received. So that's weird. And then after this solar flare hits and burns off the protective oxygen airbag bubble, the trees just vanish in sparkly fairy dust. What? And this is the one part that makes me go, wait, what? Even at the time I saw it, it was that girl's older sister just appears in like the sparkle dust. Like the trees brought her back. That is completely abandoning even the slightest hint of doing anything other than pure fantasy. I don't necessarily have a problem with the Doctor having fantasy elements, except that at the end of the day, it is a science fantasy show. It does have some basis in that, in all of that. So This is the kind of story that, I mean, granted, the way they told it, it wouldn't have worked, but like the logistics of the trees and everything else, I could have bought it and might have even thought it was a neat idea if it wasn't Earth. If it was some other planet, some alien planet, or heck, even some alternate dimension version of Earth. Just not our Earth. Because this doesn't track like any of it. It's so ridiculous. But I don't even feel like it's worth getting into the logistics because you can tell from the vibe of this thing, it's not trying to be logistically bulletproof. It's going for a feel and a tone that I don't think it really achieves. I can tell, well, I can't tell what the overall goal of this episode was. I can tell what vibe it's going for, but I don't know why it's going for it. I don't know what that's in service of. And what it feels like is going for the fairy tale vibe was an excuse to not have to pass a basic logic test on any of the things that actually go on in the episode. That's what it ends up feeling like. Whether or not that's actually the case, I don't know. This is just such a weird episode. It's the kind of story that, you know what, might have worked in a medium that has a larger initial willful suspension of disbelief. This might have worked as a issue of a comic book. Or, you know, really go back and have it have been like the comic strips in the old Doctor Who magazine. This would have been fine for that. You know, like have this happen with Frobisher. That would have worked. That's fine. You know, have the shape-shifting penguin, have the instant force. Cool. But there are certain things that don't work with how the show, especially modern era Doctor Who, has established what it is in television form. Especially 8 series in. It's just so weird, this thing. And I can't bring myself to hate it because I'm too confused to be worked up. So that's In the Forest of the Night. Have you rewatched it lately? What'd you think about it? Whatever your thoughts are, drop something on down in the comments. Let's talk about it. Usual stuff to do, and I do believe you know what it is. Like, share, subscribe. I have a Patreon. It helps keep the lights on and keep this whole thing up and running and me, you know, actually paying my bills. Plus, usual stuff. Links for various social media and whatnot, and merch, etc. down in the description. Check them out, or don't. End of the day, you're the council. I'm just running the meetings. And until next time, this council is adjourned.